So I remember years ago reading a study. It was University of Washington. A guy had a study, and he could project with almost 99% certainty what marriages would work and what marriages wouldn't. And he would sit the couples down. And, you know, we tend to think, oh, opposites attract. Well, sometimes opposites attract, and they're attracted, but it doesn't last. But with 99% certainty, the University of Washington study could predict if your marriage would last. And you know what the most important thing was? Respect. And they would watch your body language, and they would look for eye rolls, and they would try to create differences in arguments. And how did you argue? There's two different ways to argue. There's two different ways to disagree. And if it was a lack of respect or a little higher volume, you don't do that with people. You don't roll your eyes with people that you truly respect. It wasn't about love, wasn't about lust, wasn't the physicality, wasn't the money. You don't divorce people when you respect them, because you don't cheat on people you respect, and you don't treat people poorly that you respect. And the reason I bring this up is I saw last night, you can say Don Mattingly is not this and that and this and that. But for the second time in a few weeks, we have seen players turn and scream at Don Mattingly. You don't do that to Joe Torre. You don't do that to Greg Popovich. You don't do that to people you respect. Deep down, Andre Ethier last night, I mean, he was tearing into Don Mattingly. Now, his quote was, "We weren't arguing. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining." Come on. That was ugly. That was contentious. You don't do that to Terry Francona. And you don't do that to Joe Torre. And you don't do that to people like Belichick if you respect them. You can disagree all you want. But what it tells you is the players talk. We already know the GM sets the lineup. We already know they brought Wallach on the bench to do the in-game stuff. So if that part is eroding for Don Mattingly, what is left? Don Mattingly was first asked after the game about the confrontation with Andre Ethier. Here's what Don Mattingly had to say.
Yeah, Donnie, national TV caught Andre and you having an exchange in the dugout. Can you talk about, will you talk about that at all?
There was nothing there other than he was mad about the ump's call, that he missed a call in there. And I was trying to settle him down. I didn't want him thrown out of the game. And, you know, Dre's pretty emotional. It's nothing more than just trying to settle him down.
Hey, Joe Torre dealt with egos and money and divas. You never saw that. You never saw that. And that's supposed to be Don Mattingly's strength. And now we've seen Kershaw and Ethier just tear him up. And for the record, if I'm seeing that and those guys can't control their emotions on national television games, what's happening in the clubhouse? What are the whispers on the plane? What is it like when I can't see it? If you go to dinner with a couple and they're fighting in front of you, what's it like at home? I mean, we're at dinner at a restaurant and you're barking. What is it like when you're in the car on the way home? And I think Mattingly senses he's lost this team and probably lost his job. Even he, a really nice guy, got testy after the game when asked about the game.
Don, where does this loss leave you for you in terms of next year coming back?
Seriously, you're asking me that now?
Well, I mean, you have to ask it. I don't think it's that inappropriate a question. I mean, seriously, you're not going to get Don Mattingly. Years ago, Roy Williams got mad at, I think the reporter was Bonnie Bernstein. He was coaching at Kansas, and there were rumors everywhere about him going to North Carolina. And Bonnie Bernstein said, "Coach, we have to ask you about North Carolina." This is not the time. Hell yeah, it is. I'm not going to get you before you get on a private plane and go and take that UNC job. It was absolutely the right time to ask Roy Williams. Roy Williams was on a private plane 45 minutes later to the next gig. You coaches don't determine when is the right time to ask a question. We're the IRS. There is no right time to audit. We'll decide. You can bark, but your reaction will define how accurate the question is. And the fact that Mattingly got worked up tells me he's in trouble, and he knows he's in trouble, and it's just not as pretty as everybody wants to paint. Kershaw and Ethier wore him out, and that was in front of us. Wore him out.